The rooftop of the Valera Creative Studio smelled like spray paint and burnt coffee. Zara stood at the edge, not close enough to be dangerous, just close enough to feel it. The wind hit her face like a reminder that she was still alive, which honestly felt debatable right now. She wore a oversized forest green vintage bomber jacket over a white-ribbed tank, high-waisted black cargo pants with a silver chain hanging off the left pocket, and chunky white New Balance sneakers that had seen better days. Her natural 4C hair was pulled into a messy puff with a satin scrunchie, 2 gold hoops in each ear, and a thin nose ring that caught the dying light. She looked effortlessly cool. She felt like trash. Her phone screen was cracked. The notifications kept coming anyway. The design pitch. The one she had spent 4 months building from scratch, staying late, skipping sleep, rationing instant noodles. Someone had submitted it. Without her. Under a different name. She heard the rooftop door creak behind her. "You're not supposed to be up here." She turned. He stood there like the universe had bad timing on purpose. Kai. The creative director. 26. The kind of guy whose reputation walked into a room 3 seconds before he did. He wore a worn-out black oversized hoodie with the sleeves cut off, a white long sleeve underneath pushed up to the forearms showing a half-sleeve tattoo of geometric constellations, dark gray straight-leg jeans, and beat-up black Timberlands. His hair was locks, mid-length, pulled back loosely with a few falling forward. A single silver chain sat at his collarbone. Simple. Intentional. "Neither are you," she said. He looked at her for a beat too long. "You saw the submission list." "Yeah." She laughed once, sharp and hollow. "I saw it." He stepped closer, hands in his pockets, eyes steady. "I need you to hear me out before you do something permanent. I'm not jumping off a roof, Kai. I'm just deciding whether to burn the whole studio down on my way out." A pause. The city below them hummed. "Zara." His voice was quieter now. "I didn't know until an hour ago." She stared at him. "Who did it?" He opened his mouth. Then his phone rang. He looked at the screen. His jaw tightened. "Don't answer that," she said. He answered it anyway. And whatever he heard made the color drain from his face. The studio's back stairwell was narrow and fluorescent lit and smelled like someone had microwaved fish 3 days ago. Zara sat on the 4th step from the bottom. Kai paced. Neither of them wanted to be the one to say it out loud. "It was Demi," he finally said. Zara went very still. "Demi as in my best friend Demi. Demi who I literally cried on the phone with last Tuesday about this exact project. She submitted it under a joint alias. The client thinks it came from our senior team." He ran a hand through his locks. "She's been building a case for a promotion for 3 months. Your work was the missing piece." The silence that followed was the kind that had weight. Texture. "I vouched for her," Zara said quietly. "When they almost cut her contract in January, I went to bat for her. I told them she was essential." "I know. So this is what I get." "Zara, listen to me." He crouched down to her level. His eyes were serious, no performance in them. "I can fix this. But I need you to trust me for the next 24 hours and not go nuclear on her yet. Give me one reason. Because I have the original time-stamped files from the server. Your login. Your creation date. If we play this right, we don't just clear your name. We expose the whole pattern. She's done this before." He paused. To someone who couldn't fight back. Zara felt something cold move through her chest. "Who?" He looked at her for a long moment, like he was deciding how much to say. "Someone who trusted this place the same way you did." "Kai." "Who?" He stood up. Pulled out his phone and turned the screen toward her. It was a portfolio. Incredible work. Animation, branding, full visual identity systems. The name at the top was Marcus Lee. He quit 8 months ago, Kai said. We told everyone it was a personal decision. Zara looked up. It wasn't. No. She handed the phone back slowly. And you knew. The way his face changed answered her before he opened his mouth. I found out 6 weeks ago. I've been building a case since then. And then you walked into this mess and suddenly I have a witness. A current one. Zara stood up. She was almost the same height as him. She looked him dead in the eyes. If you're using me as a pawn in whatever this is, I will make sure you regret it more than she does. He didn't flinch. I know. Good. She grabbed her jacket. Send me the files. She pushed through the stairwell door. Her hands were shaking but her face was stone cold. Her phone buzzed. A message from Demi. Hey babe, you okay? Heard there was some drama with the pitch submissions. Let me know if you need anything, always here for you. Zara read it twice. Then she screenshotted it. And started walking. The 24-hour diner on Crescent Street was the kind of place that existed outside of time. Red vinyl booths cracked at the seams, a jukebox nobody used, and a ceiling fan that never quite did enough. The neon sign outside buzzed pink light through the window and painted everything in a soft, tired glow. Zara sat across from Kai with a barely touched cup of black coffee. She'd swapped her bomber for a cropped gray zip-up hoodie she'd had since sophomore year of college. Her sneakers were off. She had one foot tucked under her on the booth seat. She looked younger without the armor. She hated that. Kai had his hoodie hood down. His locks were fully loose now. He looked less like a creative director and more like someone who hadn't slept in 3 days, because he hadn't. They'd spent 2 hours going through files on his laptop. Now they just sat there. Can I ask you something? Zara said. Yeah. Why do you care? Like actually. You're the creative director. You could have buried this, protected the studio's reputation, kept your job safe. Why are you doing this? He wrapped both hands around his mug. Marcus was my roommate in college. She blinked. Oh. He called me when it happened. I told him to document everything. He was exhausted, Zara. He didn't fight back. He just left. Kai's voice was flat but there was something underneath it. I told myself I didn't have enough proof to do anything. That I'd wait for the right moment. He looked out the window. There's no right moment. You just decide to do the thing or you don't. Zara was quiet. Then, he knows what you're doing. He's the one who told me to stop waiting. Something in her chest shifted. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm in. Full send. Whatever you need. The corner of his mouth lifted. Not quite a smile. Something more careful. You're kind of terrifying, he said. I know. She pulled his laptop toward her. Now show me where Demi's audit logs are because I want to see exactly when she accessed my project folder. He leaned across the table to point at the screen. Their shoulders almost touched. Neither of them moved away. Then her phone lit up. Unknown number. One message. Back off the investigation or the original file gets deleted from the server permanently. You have until 9 a.m. Zara turned the phone around and showed him. Kai's expression didn't panic. It went cold. She has someone on the inside, he said. Yeah. Zara set the phone face down. So do we. She pulled out a USB drive from her jacket pocket and slid it across the table. He stared at it. Is that what I think it is? Every file. Every timestamp. I backed it up an hour ago from my personal cloud. She met his eyes. I was always 3 steps ahead, Kai. I just needed to know if you were, too. The silence between them charged with something that had nothing to do with the investigation. He looked at her like he was recalibrating everything he thought he understood about her. Why didn't you lead with this? Because I needed to know if I could trust you. And? She held his gaze. The jury's still out. But she didn't move her hand off the USB drive. And neither did he. The studio's glass conference room at 8:47 a.m. was all cold light and tension. The kind of room where decisions get made that ruin people. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A long white table. 6 people seated. Demi in a butter-yellow blazer at the far end, posture perfect, expression practiced. Zara stood at the door in a black-fitted turtleneck, wide-leg charcoal trousers, and her gold hoops. Her hair was down, edges laid. She looked like someone who had slept, even though she hadn't. Looking unbothered was a skill she had earned the hard way. Kai stood beside her. Black dress shirt, top 2 buttons open. Still the Timberlands. His jaw was tight but his eyes were calm. They had the USB drive. They had the logs. They had everything. And then the studio's lead partner, a man named Warren who had the energy of someone who had never once been wrong about anything, cleared his throat. Before we proceed, Warren said, I want to address a conflict of interest. He looked directly at Kai. We've received a complaint that you've been conducting an unauthorized internal investigation. Effective this morning, you're placed on administrative leave pending review. The room went quiet. Zara felt the floor tilt. Kai didn't react. He just said, noted. Kai. She grabbed his arm, low enough that the table couldn't see. They can't do this right now. We have the proof. I know. He kept his voice level. Hand Warren the drive. What? No. You should be the one to. Zara. He turned to look at her. His voice dropped to almost nothing. If I present it, they bury it with the conflict of interest claim. If you present it, it stands on its own. You're the injured party. You have standing. I don't. Not anymore. She searched his face. You knew this was going to happen. I suspected it last night when that message came through. Someone warned them. His eyes were steady. Tired. Real. This was always going to cost me something. I just decided it was worth it. The silence between them was enormous. You're doing this for Marcus, she said. I'm doing this because it's right. A pause. And maybe because you didn't deserve to go through this alone. Zara felt something she did not have the vocabulary for in that moment. She gripped the USB drive. She walked to the head of the table. She plugged it into the room's display screen without asking permission. My name is Zara Osei, she said, and her voice did not shake. I am the sole creator of the campaign you greenlit yesterday under someone else's name. And I have 4 months of time-stamped evidence that proves it. The room shifted. Demi's perfect posture cracked by a single degree. Kai stood by the door with his arms crossed. He wasn't allowed at the table anymore. But he was still there. Zara clicked to the first file. And she did not look away from Demi's face once. 3 weeks later, the rooftop again. Same spray paint smell. Same wind. Different everything else. Zara sat on the ledge, back against the water tower, legs stretched in front of her. She wore a worn brown leather jacket over a soft white graphic tee, straight-leg light-wash jeans with a frayed hem, and white low-top Converse. Her hair was in 2 loose braids. No armor. She didn't need it today. The studio had reinstated her. Given her the campaign credit. Issued a formal apology, which she did not frame because she was not a chaos goblin about her wins. Demi was gone. Marcus's portfolio had been formally acknowledged and the studio reached a private settlement with him. Not perfect, but real. Kai had not been reinstated. He had not asked to be. She heard the rooftop door. She didn't turn around. "You're still not supposed to be up here," she said. "You keep saying that like it's going to stop either of us." He sat down beside her, not too close. Close enough. He wore a soft olive crewneck sweatshirt, relaxed dark jeans, clean white sneakers. His locks were down. He looked lighter than she had ever seen him. Like he'd put something down that had been heavy for a long time. "They offered you your job back," she said. It wasn't a question. Warren had told her himself. "Yeah. You said no." "Yeah." She finally turned to look at him. "Why?" He looked at the city spreading out in every direction below them, all motion and light and noise. "Because I spent 2 years in that building making decisions I thought were pragmatic and calling them professional. And Marcus paid for it." He paused. "I don't want to be that person anymore just because it's comfortable. So what are you going to do?" He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. He handed it to her. She opened it. It was a lease agreement. A studio space. Small. In Bushwick. Her name was on it too. She stared at it. Then at him. "I didn't sign it," he said quickly. "It's just a draft. It's just an idea. You can say no. You probably should say no, actually. I know I'm a lot. I know this whole thing was a lot. And I know trust is not something you hand out for free, and you shouldn't." He stopped. He exhaled. "But I think we're good together. At work. On the work. I think what you build is extraordinary, and I think I know how to help people see it. And I wanted you to know that I see it." Zara looked at the paper for a long time. The city hummed below them. She thought about 4 months of late nights she'd spent alone. She thought about Demi's fake smile and fake warmth and how she had let it in anyway. She thought about how the worst thing that had happened to her had also somehow introduced her to the only person in that building who had chosen principle over comfort when it actually cost him something. She folded the paper. Put it in her jacket pocket. "I'm not signing anything today," she said. His face shifted but he nodded. "Okay. But I want to see the space." He turned to look at her. Really look at her. She met his eyes and did not look away. "Tomorrow," she said. "You can show me tomorrow." The wind moved through her braids. The city kept going beneath them. And something between them, fragile and unfinished and completely terrifying, began. The end.